All righty. Baruch Hashem, we are live. Broadcasting live from the original Soulword Studios. I say the original Soulword Studios because we have the new and improved Soulword Studios at the Soulword's house in Cambria Heights. That's our state-of-the-art studio. But this is our original vintage studio. This is the old garage. You guys don't realize this is a garage, but yes, this is my garage in Five Towns. Baruch Hashem, good to be back with the Thursday night call-in show. I just looked it up. We haven't done one since September. That's like 9 months. It's like a period of gestation, and maybe something will be born tonight. The call-in show was the brainchild of my beloved favorite son-in-law. I only have one son-in-law right now. Moshe Zelig. Moshe David. Not related to Larry David. Unfortunately, I don't get any of the Larry David bucks. But my beloved son-in-law, Moshe, was hacking for months, maybe even for years, and he was saying, Shver, you got to do a call-in talk show, like a Dave Ramsey type of thing. I was like, it's too hard. We can't do it. The technological obstacles are formidable. And then my beloved son, Yisrael Taub, figured out all the tech stuff, and what's the name of that phone company that we use? Yisrael, are you on? What's the name? Let's give them a plug.
9x9 Tech.
9x9 Tech. How do the people contact them if they want to use them?
9x9tech.com.
9x9 Tech, TECH.com. Yeah, so we set up the call-in show a few years ago. It became a classic Thursday night. It's like Thursday night cholent. Became a classic. And then it was too hard for me to continue for various reasons, and I stopped. Could have been because of Avelis, actually. I'm in the second year in a row of mourning. My father passed away the previous year. My mother passed away this year. Someone's writing in the YouTube chat, love, serve, forgive is the username. Writes, Shalom, is everyone welcome? Yes, everyone is welcome. You mean, do you need like a secret code to get in here? Is this like special, elite, exclusive, VIP? No, this is for everyone. Everyone who has access to YouTube can be here. Someone wrote in the comments in the YouTube chat, even better than the Knicks. Thank you. From that, I'm assuming that the Knicks are playing tonight, which I understand might be a challenge for some people. I haven't really followed the NBA since Michael Jordan. And people who know me know that Michael Jordan called me on the phone when I was a kid, when I was like 11 years old, maybe 12. And I was a huge Michael Jordan fan. I went to many Bulls games in the old Chicago Stadium on Madison Avenue. Saw Jordan play live many times, many historic games. Haven't really followed the NBA since then. So when you say the Knicks, I think of Patrick Ewing. That's what I think of. Think of Patrick Ewing from Georgetown, Michael Jordan from UNC. You know about that matchup? Georgetown versus UNC? Like 1983 or something like that. Maybe even 1982. I don't remember. Yeah. So I don't really know about the Knicks. Yeah. Love, serve, forgive is writing in the YouTube chat. Thank you. I've enjoyed a lot of your videos. Going through a major life challenge. Would like to call in. Okay. So that's great that you brought that up. If you want to call in, you have to email info@soulwords.org. That's info@soulwords.org. And just give like a 1 or 2 sentence summary of what you want to call in about. I'm not sure that we're going to be able to take new callers tonight because we do have a full roster of callers, although you never know. People get tired of waiting or they fall asleep, and then we need new callers. But this is how it works, just to explain the system. If you want to call in and talk to me, see, sometimes people email like questions that they want me to like read. This is not Rumble. I'm not a live streamer. I'm not going to have like some computer voice read your written question and then respond to it. This is a conversation that you'll see. If you're not familiar with the format, this is like a live conversation. So if you have something you want to call in and talk to me about, then you write up a 1 or 2 sentence summary of what it's about. Send it as an email to info@soulwords.org. If it's something we feel like others would benefit from, doesn't mean that if we don't choose you, it doesn't mean that it was a bad question. It just means it wasn't like conducive to the call-in show format. So if we do think it's conducive to the call-in show format, then we're going to send you the call-in number, and you'll call in. We'll tell you what time to call in, and we'll set it up, and I'll answer the call, and I'll talk to you live on the air, and we'll have like a real conversation. I'm going to make a bracha. I'm drinking right now black cherry soda. This is Bear Mayim, black cherry soda. And if the people from Bear Mayim would like to sponsor me, you could sponsor an episode of the Thursday Night Call-In Show for $1,000. And in fact, if you have a loved one, and if you really love your loved one, wouldn't you sponsor the Call-In Show for Thursday night for $1,000? I'm selling sponsorships for the Thursday Night Call-In Show for $1,000. And speaking of that, if you want to sponsor, you can go to soulwords.org/donate. Is it donate? Yeah. soulwords.org/donate. And you can donate $1,000, and you can dedicate the Thursday Night Call-In Show. Why is it $1,000? Because why not? Good quality programming, you got to pay for it. Okay. Or like William Randolph Hearst said, a pleasure is worth whatever one's willing to pay for it. And it is a pleasure to be the sponsor of the Thursday Night Call-In Show. So Bear Mayim, you would like to sponsor? If not, maybe I'll ask Mayim Chaim, your competitors, or anyone else who would like to sponsor the Thursday Night Call-In Show. Why not? And in fact, I'll even put in the chat the donate link, because why not? Again, why not? I'm going to tell you guys a quick little story before we take our first caller. This is a bizarre story. I don't really have a lesson from it. I don't know why I'm sharing it, other than the fact that I thought about it. I had a little brain hiccup like an hour or two ago, and I remembered this faint memory. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to share this with the Call-In Show people. There's nothing didactic about it. I don't have a point. It's just a memory. Okay, so I was living in L.A. This is like in the 1990s. Remember the 1990s? So I was living in L.A., and I get a phone call, landline call. I didn't have a cell phone yet. My first cell phone was when I was in Brooklyn in probably 1997 or 98, maybe even 99. I can't remember. And Tova is writing, call into the Call-In Show, which is a reference to the Call-In Show theme song, which goes like this. Call into the Call-In Show.
-1.
Oh, Yisrael, come on. Don't make that thing come up, especially when I'm singing. What is that? What was that computer voice that just came up? Yisrael, what was that thing?
Nothing came up. Wasn't me.
Oh, I heard something. It was like messages 1 or something. Call into the Call-In Show. Now it ruined my mood. I'll sing Call into the Call-In Show later when I'm more besimcha. Okay. So I was living in LA. Got a call on my landline. Hello? The guy says to me, I'm doing exactly, this is 40 years ago, and I remember exactly. The guy, I'm just reading the YouTube chat. Rabbi, forgive me for having this thought. For some reason, I would love to see your reaction of a baby when it gets those really bad mustard-stained diaper and you are changing it. With love. Ha ha. You don't mean mustard-stained diaper, but you mean when babies have very yellow bowel movements and it's really gross. And you would like to see my reaction to it? It'll be a reaction of disgust, but You know, if it was my child or my grandchild, I would power through it. And that would be my reaction. But maybe you could ask AI to simulate that for you. Okay. I'm just glad. You know what? I'm glad that someone wrote such a bizarre comment in the chat, because I was afraid that maybe I was being a little bit too weird. But now I see where the bar has been set. Okay, so I pick up the phone. Hello. And the guy is like, he goes, con. Like, what? Excuse me? Do a little bit of that. Con. What? Yeah. Like do a little con. You're real cool when you do the con. Now I get nervous. Con. I'm like, what? Con. He's saying con, like a con artist, like a con man. Yeah, you like to do those cons, con. He thinks I'm a con man. He's confronting me. Okay. And then he's like, and then he starts talking like about me, but so that I can, he's like, this man can be paying me for the rest of his life. By the way, I just want you to understand this voice that I'm doing. This was clearly a white guy. Okay. This was like this. Okay. Just so you know, the voice that I'm doing, it was a white guy who had this type of like, want to be cool. It was like a Quentin Tarantino type black accent, basically, is what it was. All right. At any rate, he's like, con. Like, and I've never heard that expression before or since. Con. Now I get nervous. I'm like a nervous guy. So I got very nervous about it. I'm like, thinking and he said, this man can be paying me for the rest of his life. So now he's extorting me. So apparently, here's the deal. He believes he caught me conning someone else, and now he's extorting me because what? He's going to, I don't know, blow the lid off the con that I don't even know what con I did, because I certainly didn't do any con. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Sir, what is this you're talking about? He's, con. And he like gets more relaxed to like egg me on. It's like almost like to taunt me with his like feigned, over exaggerated, relaxed demeanor. He's like, con, do a little bit of that, con. So, I don't remember exactly what I was saying, but I was like very like nervous. I'm like, you have to explain what you're talking about. What you think that I'm a con artist? So he hangs up. I was so nervous. I didn't know what to do. So we had *67, which was you call someone back, unless they blocked it before they called. We didn't have caller ID, so I have no idea who this is calling me. So I just did *67. Okay, he picks up. Hello? I'm like, you know that you can't just call me like this and just say these things, and I'm not going to try to call you back. You got to tell me who this is. And I think at that point he realized that either if it was a joke that had gone too far and that I was seriously rattled, or if he was a real guy who extorts con artists, I think he smelled that I wasn't one. And he's like, well, if that's not who you are, you don't have to worry about it, do you? I'm like, but you can't call me. You're accusing me of something. He's like, if it don't apply to you, don't worry about it. And then he hung up. So I called the police, LAPD. And I explained to them what happened. And they're like, well, what crime did he commit? I'm like, what do you mean? What crime did he commit? He was threatening me. And I'm like, and they're like, what did he threaten? I'm like, well, it was very vague. That's what made it very nefarious, because it was like, you know, when you threaten somebody, you just leave it very vague. That's like that's the most threatening thing. And they're like, well, it doesn't sound like he actually threatened you. It sounded like he was telling you that at some point he might blackmail you. I said, exactly, that's right. He was threatening me. They said, no, but he didn't blackmail you. He threatened that at some point he might blackmail you, which means he was threatening to threaten you. All of a sudden, the guy, I don't know who this was from LAPD, but he becomes like a mother cup. He starts, has a whole pill. And he's like, he was threatening to threaten you. He didn't really say it like with that tone, but he was like, I remember him saying those words. He's like, well, what's the crime? He was threatening you. He was threatening to threaten you. What's the crime? He threatened to threaten you. I'm like, okay, fine. He threatened to threaten me. Well, it wasn't pleasant, like, would you like to get such a call if I threatened to threaten you? Even if I threatened to threaten you, I don't think you'll find it very pleasant. That was the whole experience. I don't know why I shared that with you guys. Okay, Yisrael, do we have our first caller on the line?
Yes, we do.
Okay, and she's ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Welcome, welcome.
Our first caller is Karma. Okay, hi, hello. Your karma ran over my dogma. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm very well. How are you doing?
Baruch Hashem, thank God, I'm doing very well. Thank you for being the first caller on our return to the Thursday Night Call-In Show. Have you ever listened to the Thursday Night Call-In Show before?
I don't know that I have. I have watched your YouTube video, your YouTube channel quite a lot, but I don't think I've done the call-in show.
Okay, fantastic. All right. It's just a conversation. We just talk. That's basically what happens. So tell me what's going on? What's on your mind?
So you did an Instagram video a while back that I found very intriguing, where you said that some people feel that they simply don't belong anywhere in the world.
Yes.
And you said that that if you are one of those people, it means that you were put on this earth with a very important mission. And I was wondering if you could elaborate on what the connection is between the two. This is something I have struggled with for quite some time, and so if you could specify like what is going on there, like what causes this, and also how do you deal with the loneliness that comes with this? Also, it's for me, it's also connected to this toxic shame issue because I'm a survivor of family scapegoating abuse, and it's very common for survivors of family scapegoating abuse to have toxic shame, which makes them feel like, oh, I'm so messed up, I'll never belong anywhere. And so, is there a way to distinguish between, if you're feeling like you don't belong anywhere, is there a way to know whether it's because of the abuse or because of the mission?
Right. Okay. This is a wonderful question. So let me begin, but I'm sure I'm not going to just give you a speech here. This is going to be a dialogue. So first of all, you mentioned this video, and the way that you recapped the video, you said that if you feel like you don't really belong anywhere, that means you have a very special mission. I'm not sure I said that exactly. I don't know what I said. Maybe I did say that, but if I did say that, I didn't mean to say it, and I probably didn't say exactly those words. But what I probably said is something more like this. There are people who feel like they don't fit in anywhere. I probably, if I remember correctly, because usually I explain that I probably said that these are what I call sensitive souls, which are people who struggle with embodiment. The soul is a spiritual entity. It is not natural for it to be contained in the physical plane, and embodiment is uncomfortable for the soul. For whatever reason, most people seem to get distracted by the bells and the whistles of physical embodiment, meaning the pleasures of the physical world, and they kind of forget the soul's homesickness. But then there are other people for whom they never become acclimated in their physical embodiment, and they're always sort of feeling out of sorts. And I said that in order to become more comfortable in your embodiment, you need to embrace your mission. That's probably what I said. Not that if you feel uncomfortable in your body, that means you have a special mission. Because the truth is, every single soul that is embodied has a special mission. The thing is, a lot of people aren't existentially uncomfortable. They're okay being embodied souls. And so they're not desperate to figure out how to be comfortable in their bodies because they already are. Sensitive souls are uncomfortable in their bodies. And I was giving advice, if a sensitive soul wants to feel comfortable in its body, the way to do so is to figure out why you're in a body, meaning the purpose for which your soul had to come to this earth. So it's not about, like a lot of people, the way that they just get comfortable with physicality is by indulging in the pleasures of this physical world. A sensitive soul will never be bribed by any of that. It's just not, it's not enough distraction to offset the pain of embodiment. Sensitive souls need something much more meaningful. They need to feel that even if it's painful and uncomfortable, their embodiment has value, that there's something they're accomplishing through embodiment. So that's probably more like what I said. So yes, everyone has a special mission. Sensitive souls really, really need to find their mission. A lot of people go through life never finding their mission because they don't look for it, unfortunately. Sensitive souls pretty much get forced to find their mission because it's the only way that they'll ever find any type of comfort in their embodiment. Okay, now I haven't answered a bunch of the questions that you brought up, but before I continue, I just want to check in with you. Does what I'm saying make sense? Are you with me still? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what you're following what I'm saying?
I think so.
Okay. Now, your particular case, you say that you have toxic shame, which you've identified as being the result of scapegoating in your family. And that's a topic which I've actually spoken about on Instagram and on YouTube about family scapegoats. For those who are unfamiliar, and God bless you, if you're unfamiliar, you should never be familiar. But those who are unfamiliar, basically in certain unhealthy types of families, I'm not going to use the word narcissistic families because the word has lost all meaning. But in families where you have someone who's really unhealthy, usually a parent who's really unhealthy and needs to be perceived as perfect all of the time. So what they do is they offset or they offload all of their shame onto some, I used to think it was a randomly selected member of the family, but then my theory on it evolved, actually. So what happens is they pick this scapegoat who has to bear all the shame and the blame of the quote unquote perfect parent who's not allowed to ever show any type of human vulnerability. And obviously that is traumatizing. And obviously, okay, maybe not obviously. So let me say this slowly and carefully. How does one become a sensitive soul? Well, I'm not really sure. Are you born that way? Does something happen to you? Again, I'm not really sure. Certainly, we see that people who are traumatized, whether it's trauma with a big T or it's PTSD, a CPTSD, complex PTSD, where it's like death by a million paper cuts, constant, tiny little repeated traumas, that what happens is they also have this feeling of being displaced, not feeling like they belong anywhere. To me, the common denominator of all of it is hyper self-awareness, which is really crippling, crippling self-consciousness, because to really function in this world, you have to be able to at least set aside the conscious ego and be immersed in the experience of life. But instead of being immersed in the experience of life, the self-conscious person is ruminating on on their own existence, which basically means they're separate selfhood as an entity distinct and apart from the one, from the all. So a lot of people become that way because of trauma. But a lot of people are born that way. And then the question is, well, why are they born that way? And my answer is, and I've said this for quite some time, that for some people, embodiment itself is the trauma. Now, some people are double winners, where they were born sensitive, so embodiment itself is the trauma. And then on top of that, they actually experience things that would be traumatizing to anyone, even someone who's not a sensitive soul. So they're double winners. But the point is like this hyper self-awareness and this uncomfortability in your own skin, that could happen because you were the victim of some trauma, or it could happen just because embodiment itself is traumatizing for you because you're that sensitive. Okay. I just want to check back in with you. So far, so good. Does this make sense, what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So now your question was, how much of your toxic shame is a result of the scapegoating that you experienced? And the answer is, I don't know, and I don't think anyone could ever know. But here's what I want to tell you. Remember I said about 3 minutes ago that I used to think the scapegoat was randomly selected, and then my theory about it evolved. Remember I told you that?
Oh, yes, indeed. I was very curious about that.
Yeah. Okay. So tell me if this like resonates with your experience. I actually have a whole video about this on YouTube about the Emperor's New Clothes. There's a Hans Christian Andersen parable or a fable or whatever it's called about it's a famous one. I'm not going to tell the details, but the emperor gets conned. Oh, there's the callback. Con. The emperor gets conned by this con man who sells him a bunch of air. It's not clothing, it's air. But he pretends it's a suit that's so fine that only special people can see it. So the king is so vain, he doesn't want to admit that he can't see it. So the tailor pantomimes this whole thing of carefully giving him the suit. Oh, try on the suit. Oh, you look so wonderful in the suit. Of course, there's nothing there. It's air. So he's naked. And then the tailor suggests that the emperor should parade through the streets showing off his new suit. Now, he's naked. He's stark naked. But the kingdom, like the subjects of the kingdom, they all understand that you don't call out the king and say the king is naked. You play along. Like, don't be stupid. What, you want to be like they say the story about Stalin's 2-hour standing ovation because everyone was afraid to stop clapping, and then the one guy who was the first one to stop clapping, Stalin said, take the guy out back and shoot him, and then he told everyone, never be the first one to stop clapping, right? So nobody wants to be the one to say that the king is naked because he doesn't want to be off with their head, you know? So everyone's playing along with this charade. And then there's this kid. This is the Hans Christian Andersen fairy tale. There's a kid who, for whatever reason, doesn't say why he's motivated to do this, but this, I guess, you know, it's understood. He's a child, so he's innocent. And he says, look, the king, he's not wearing clothes. And everyone, it just breaks the spell and everyone starts cracking up and the king is humiliated. And I think that's the end of the story. But I tell you this fairy tale because I believe that the scapegoat is not randomly selected. I believe that the scapegoat actually unknowingly volunteers for becoming the object of the wrath because the scapegoat actually was the one who called out the bluff. Didn't even know he or she was calling out the bluff. But here's the thing. There are certain people who, I mean, you want to use clinical terms, you want to call them autistic, go ahead. I'm not like, you can use that term. And in 20 years, they'll have another term. But you want to say neurodivergent, whatever term floats your boat. But a kid who's wired different and is allergic to falsehood. A kid who can't lie to save his life because it's so repellent to him, the idea of lying. In fact, not only can he not lie, he is sensitive, hypersensitive to the lies that regular people tell each other all day long. How are you doing? Oh, I'm great. How are you? I'm great. He can't stand that because he knows that people are just faking. And he'll actually say it. He'll say, why are people so fake? Why are they so shallow? He can't stand small talk. He can't stand social posturing. This is the kid who doesn't realize that he just committed a capital offense, that there's a father or a mother in the family who has to pretend and make everyone else pretend that he or she is perfect. And then this little kid who's differently wired, who can't, like literally constitutionally is incapable of going along with lies, ends up calling out the lie. But didn't you say such and such? Well, everyone in the family knows that, you know, we're supposed to go along with the gaslighting. You're not supposed to like call out the narcissist because that's the number one rule. In fact, that's the only rule of the family. At any rate, my theory evolved when I realized that the scapegoat probably in most cases was this little kid who said the emperor is not wearing any clothes. Didn't even realize that he had committed a capital offense because See, here's the thing. In the petty, vindictive world of this narcissistic parent, the only reason that you would tell the truth is to shame someone. In the world of this innocent, differently wired kid, you don't tell the truth to shame people. He's actually completely oblivious to the fact that it's causing shame. In fact, he feels the opposite, that the lie is shameful, right? So he doesn't even realize that them's fighting words, right? That he walked into the bar and he said, I want to fight the biggest man here. He doesn't realize he said those words. He thinks he's just being real, doesn't even think anything of it. So my theory evolved that I realized, yeah, scapegoats are traumatized, and trauma makes you self-aware, and it makes you into a sensitive soul. But probably the very fact that the scapegoat was the scapegoat in the first place was probably because he or she was already a sensitive soul, because he or she was an unwitting truth teller. And that's the first crime that he or she committed that caused the scapegoating cycle to begin. Do you follow this, and does any of this resonate with your experience?
Yeah, I'm following it, and yeah, to some extent it does resonate. I think there's a lot of truth to what you're saying, but I think it can be also. I think there's another component though that's sort of similar, where so Dr. Ramani said in one of her videos that oftentimes the scapegoat is chosen because they're the most empathic in the family, and lots of times the abusive parent will target the most empathic child simply because they did or said something abusive to somebody in the family, and then they looked at the most empathic child and they saw shock and pain in that kid's eyes, and that was enough to set off the parent, and they decided, oh, I need to target this person now so that nobody respects this person. So that's more in line with my experience, but yeah, also, yeah, I get what you're saying.
But those are not two separate things. We're saying the same exact thing, but I want to spell it out. The truth teller and the empath are one and the same profile. The truth teller and the empath are one and the same profile. It's the person who's so tuned into energy that she cannot pretend, she cannot play along and pretend that she didn't just witness an emotional murder. Everyone else has the luxury of, maybe they're a little bit uncomfortable, maybe they're a lot uncomfortable, but not uncomfortable enough to make it impossible to play the role, do whatever it is that makes peace. So the empath and the truth teller really are the exact same profile. It's the hypersensitive person who just can't play the game. Not because they're refusing to play the game, they're just incapable of playing it. And of course, that's a dangerous, that's a loose cannon from the perspective of the narcissist, because this is a person who could disrupt the whole game, who does disrupt the whole game, not even trying to disrupt it. It's not a power play. The empathic, hypersensitive, super honest kid is not intentionally trying to usurp the authority of this perfectionist parent. It's something that happens. I mean, maybe later on it becomes a power struggle and then it becomes conscious. But at first, it really is just this sensitive child being like, nobody else sees this? Am I really the only one who's seeing this? So to me, those are not two separate things. The empathic child and the truth teller child are the exact same child. Does that make sense to you?
Yep.
Someone's writing in the YouTube comments, I couldn't lie for her and she considered me a threat. The lie is safer for them. I think the truth is safer. Completely opposite view of the world. Right. So this is Rosie B99 is saying, I don't know who she is, probably your mother, but you're saying that your mother For her, the most comforting thing was the lie. For you, the most comforting thing was the truth. Now, you're going to put two people like that in a closed system where one of them is the adult and the other one is the child. I know which one is going to devour which one. You know, I know who's going to consume the other. Yeah. Okay. So getting back to your question, you know, I don't know, and I don't think anyone can ever know, but I would guess like this. You were probably born sensitive. You were probably born, like I say, traumatized by embodiment itself, feeling things very deeply, very aware of energy and feelings and of truth. That made you dangerous in ways that you didn't understand. You were then targeted for abuse in order to discredit you so that you wouldn't undermine the power of the narcissistic parent. And there you go. I mean, does that sound like your story?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else you want to? Oh, about the mission. Okay, so here, that's the main point. So here's the thing. Now you're this super sensitive person who has this hyper self-awareness. What are you going to do? What are you going to do about that? Well, a lot of us, we self-medicate, you know, just numb ourselves so that we don't feel it and die of addiction. I don't want you to do that. Yeah, I don't think you're suggesting that you want to do that. But the only real way to get comfortable in your own skin is to use your body as much as possible in alignment with your mission that your soul was sent to the body for. The mission is not one big thing. The mission is a collection of everyday things. And it starts with just being aware of whatever the next right thing is right in front of you. So whenever you're feeling bogged down with the self-awareness, or you called it toxic shame, really the only antidote, the only way through it is to figure out how to do something that's useful, to physically perform an act of goodness and kindness. Now, I just want to throw in here a caveat that if you've been the target of scapegoating, sometimes you develop a people-pleasing tendency because, that happens sometimes, not to all cases, but sometimes it's like you learn how to get people off your back by telling them what they want to hear. You know, first you can't lie, and then you figure out, okay, this is what they like. Okay, so you give them the lie, even though it makes you cringe. But what happens is sometimes people go from scapegoats to becoming people pleasers or codependents. And then what happens is they do good, but they do good as a distraction. It becomes the new drug, it becomes the new addiction. So what I want to try to encourage you, not just you, but like anyone who relates to this story, is doing acts of goodness and kindness, not because of the reaction that other people will give you, but to do acts of goodness and kindness because that is how you live as a person of integrity. Integrity means integration. Integration means alignment. When you are in a body for a purpose, but you're not living in alignment with that purpose, then there is a state of disease, which actually causes all types of disease, God forbid. In order to become comfortable again, you need to be integrated. And that means to try to show up as much as possible in a way where you are useful to your maker in the situation that you've been placed in at this moment. Not because of the reaction of other people. The reaction of other people, it can actually become very addictive, not for approval, not for people's validation, but because this is how you live as a person of integrity. Okay. Anyways, there's a lot more to be said about this. I really appreciate you bringing up this very deep concept and sharing your personal experience. Yeah.
Thanks for taking my call.
No, my pleasure. Thank you. Thanks for getting it started off. Okay, I think we have another caller on the line. Yisrael, do we have another caller? Let me just pull up the... Hi, Miriam, welcome. That's what it's. My sheet here says, say hi, Miriam, welcome. Okay, I just did it. I said, hi, Miriam, welcome.
I don't know what sheet you're looking at.
Oh, maybe that's from a year ago?
Yeah.
Oh, that was a call from a year ago.
It's just you and I here now.
I thought we had like 5 callers lined up.
Yeah, we had a 10:30. Actually, at 10:45. In 4 minutes, there's a call lined up.
It's 9:41 right now.
Yeah, so in 4 minutes. We had a 30-minute slot, so.
You said 10:45.
You want to see the call in? I meant 9:45, sorry.
I'm going to just scan through the comments. Mustard-colored stools means baby is not being given enough iron-enriched formula. Rivka Freeman, thank you. Love Nest 1 says, feel like you are watching my life. Rosie B99 says, really well said. Bruchy K says, this scapegoating on the truth teller sheds so much light on everything. Innocent truth-telling dare commit the crime of exposing the narcissist, thereby beginning the trauma experiences. Yeah. Okay, a lot of different stuff. Anyways, Yisrael, did I ever tell you the Con story before? I guess Yisrael's not there. Did any of my children want to call in and let me know if I ever told you the Con story? I'm pretty sure I told Avram Abba the Con story. I'm going to sing the call-in show song. I'm not really in the mood. I'm kind of annoyed, actually. I'm not in the mood to sing the call-in show song, but I'm going to do it anyways. You know what? I can't. I just can't. I'm not in the mood to sing it. Sam Cedar 1116. I've learned to accept that she and I will see reality very differently. There's absolutely no way to change it. I have to lie and pretend that I'm agreeing with her. Yeah. That's right. Call into the call-in show. You got to call into the call-in show. Callous Fanatic 8037 says, I think the Michael Jordan story is more fascinating than the Con story, even if it has no relevance. Rena Edinger 8523 says, thank you so much for all of your wisdom. Okay, I'm glad you feel that it's wisdom. Call into the call-in show. Call into the call-in show. Loomdogger says, sing it! Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. Call into the call-in show. You got to call into the call-in show. Call into the call-in show. You got to call into the call-in show. Yisrael, are you there? Yisrael's not there. Tim Miller, 7338 says,
yeah, I'm here. What's up?
Contest.
I'm here.
It's beard contest. Yisrael!
What's up?
Did I ever tell you the Con story?
I've definitely heard it before.
Definitely heard it before.
Mm-hmm.
Did I impersonate what the guy sounded like?
Yes, and you did exactly the same.
Did it exactly the same? I was wondering if I held back here on the call-in show because I'm a little bit inhibited.
Mm-hmm. I think it was pretty good.
But you think I toned it down, or is it the same as the way that I did it when I told it to you in real life?
Maybe a little bit toned down. I'm not sure.
I feel like I toned it down a little bit. It was like a full Curtis Sliwa black scent. It was like but he was like trying to sound slick, like all calm. I don't know if you haven't lived in the 90s, I don't know if you could understand the cultural milieu that gave birth to that accent, to that dialect.
Mm-hmm.
Yitzi 7505 says, Rabbi, I see a common denominator between the truth teller and the one who prefers they tell him about his or her collar. Do you think so? Oh my goodness, yes, about the collar. Thank you. By the way, I thought maybe you were doing like a neurotypical hint. That's how neurotypical people be like, I heard a guy one time said he wanted people to tell him about his collar. Yeah, I have a thing. Yitzi 7505 knows that I get furious when my collar's poking out and nobody tells me, because I feel like a fool when I'm like on a live stream or something and I'm like with my collar poking out. I feel foolish. Talk about toxic shame. Harpsichords, accordions, harps. What is that? Tim Miller 7338.
The other day,
yeah.
The other day we were having a staff meeting in our office, and there was food being served, and a guy had a piece of lettuce in his beard, and he was like the main person speaking at the time.
Oh no.
And everyone was just like looking at him as if nothing happened, right? And it was like a big piece of lettuce, and he was just going on. And I was like sitting in the corner. I really wasn't in a place where I could like tell him, and also I was like kind of preoccupied and busy. And I was like, how is it possible there's 40 people staring at this guy? They're looking at him because he's speaking, and no one's going to say anything?
And what happened? You were part of the system.
I lost.
You didn't call out the poking out collar?
No.
So you didn't have the courage.
But in my defense, I was in a situation where I really couldn't. Like, I was like sitting behind. You should have
spoken truth to power. Should have said, "Sir, your collar." By the way, someone's writing Tim Miller 7338, which I think might be a new person because I don't remember that YouTube thing. He called it in the comments. He called it Elvis collar, but you're talking about the Elvis collar from Vegas. Elvis. Can I tell you something? Because this is the call-in show.
You thought he was talking about you?
Yitzi 7505, who's a real guy who actually came to the Soulward's house a few weeks ago, mentioned that I don't like when my collar's poking out, and no one tells me. Tim Miller called it Elvis collar. And I said, yeah, that's like Vegas Elvis collar. And I just want to say I'm not terminally online, but I saw last week, I don't know why Paul Simon was in, who's it, Paul Simon? So I always get confused between Paul Simon and Neil Simon. Neil Simon is like the Odd Couple, right? And Paul Simon is like Simon and Garfunkel. But who was the Jewish guy who was the senator from Illinois when I was a kid? Was that also Paul Simon? Who was the senator from Illinois? Was there also, can someone please Google? Because I'm trying to run a call-in show over here. Anyways, they interviewed Paul Simon, and he's like, I didn't care for Elvis after 1955, which I thought was like, dude, you're one of the most celebrated figures in modern musical history. You don't have to have like an obnoxious 20-year-old record store employee take to gain street cred here. I thought that, he said, well, I didn't care for Elvis after 1955. He's like, oh, I didn't even watch Vegas Elvis. So I was really, really put off by that. And actually, I'm telling you, Hashgacha Pratis, just last night, I wanted to see, okay, Yisrael, do you remember at the Soulward's house last Sunday, what song I sang? Yisrael, we're on live thing. You got to be able to pop in much quicker than this. We're live over here.
No, I don't know.
You remember I spoke about Ed Ames?
I don't recall.
And the Chabad telethon?
Oh, yeah, Wonderful World.
Not Wonderful World. And I think to myself. No, it wasn't Wonderful World. It was To Dream the Impossible Dream. So I want to tell you something. Last night, and my collars are poking out right now because I want to talk about Vegas Elvis. So last night, really, literally last night, I went and I wanted to watch Vegas Elvis singing To Dream the Impossible Dream. Because To Dream the Impossible Dream is a very Jewish song. The lyrics and the music were written by Jews. It's based on the novel by Miguel de Cervantes, who is theorized to have been a crypto Jew. And the entire story of Man of La Mancha, who is Don Quixote, is theorized, at least by some, to be a parable about Jewishness. I have a whole theory about that. I could talk at length about Don Quixote and Jewishness. But the song To Dream the Impossible Dream, and at any rate, so last night I was watching Vegas Elvis singing To Dream the Impossible Dream. And then from there, I went and I compared who sang Unchained Melody better. I compared 3. Vegas Elvis, Roy Orbison, or the Righteous Brothers. And I want you to know that my vote, and if you vote anything else, you're entitled to your opinion, but you're wrong. The best Unchained Melody is Roy Orbison by far. That's all I want to say. My favorite version of The Impossible Dream is sung by Roy Hamilton. Paul Martin Simon was an American author and politician from Illinois. He served in the United States House of Representatives from 1975 to 1985, in the U.S. Senate from 85 to 1997. Okay, thank you, Clifford 961. So Paul Simon, there's 2 Paul Simons. There's Paul Simon like Simon and Garfunkel, and there's Paul Simon, the senator from Illinois. Yeah. Okay, Yisrael, I thought we had someone who was on the line who wanted to call in at 9:45. Is that correct? Is that true?
Yeah, that's what we scheduled. It doesn't look like he's here.
Okay, so what's the deal? Does people schedule calling in and then they don't show up?
I guess so.
Pretty
or
lame.
maybe we're on a 9-month break, so
Pretty lame if you ask me.
people.
So do you want me to tell you about my Don Quixote theory?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm gonna listen though.
I'm going to hang up and listen for my answer. You know what that is, right? That's call-in show. That's radio call-in show. It's a radio call-in show trope. The guy will call, Ned from the Lower East Side, come in. You're on the air. I wanted to ask a question about blah, blah, blah. And then he goes on like a rant for 10 minutes. You can tell he's reading from a paper. And then he goes, I will hang up and listen for my answer. Okay. I will tell you about Don Quixote. Oh, hold on. There's a Tanya question from Awakened by Sunrise. Tanya question, could a person go from a normal good person to a Beinoni to a Tzaddik in one lifetime, or is it completely impossible? I know it's not the point of Tanya, but it seems like some might. It's a good question. I mean, by definition, Tanya says that a Tzaddik is someone who was born that way, so he doesn't go from the other categories to becoming a Tzaddik. I think the question is more, can someone go from Rasha to Beinoni? And the answer is, I believe that's the project of Tanya, to go from Rasha to Beinoni. In the end of Perek Yud Daled, at the end of chapter 14, he does imply that it is possible for a Beinoni to be implanted with the Ruach, that's a soul level, the emotional soul level of a Tzaddik. It's something called Ibur Neshama. So he could possibly become a Tzaddik or effectively a Tzaddik. I love the Tanya questions. I could geek out about Tanya all night. I don't think I really have an audience for it. I'm going to tell you more about Don Quixote. But first I want to say something to you. To dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe. Why do I hear a thing in my headphones? Like right when I'm singing, I hear a thing. Every time. Last time also I was singing and I hear this thing come on. To dream the impossible dream. Listen to the paradoxes, okay? By the way, my birthday is Shabbos. Chof Aleph Sivan. It's my birthday. I want to see if anyone made a donation, if they dedicated the show. I want to look here and see if anyone donated the show. No, nobody made a donation. When you look at that. Soulwords.org/donate. Okay, listen. Listen to the paradox. My birthday is this Shabbos, 21 Sivan. Listen to the paradoxes here, okay? To dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to bear with unbearable sorrow, to run where the brave not. Again, I'm hearing this thing. Why is this thing coming on the phone when I sing? I hear a thing coming on, like a computer voice and an operator. And I can't hear what it's saying because I'm in the middle of singing. To run where the brave... Now you lost it. To dream the impossible dream. To fight the unbeatable foe. To bear with unbearable sorrow. To run where the brave dare not go. To love pure and chaste from afar. Yitzi 7505, here's the operator voice also. This is my quest to follow that star, no matter how hopeless, no matter how far. You guys understand this? All right, let me explain to you. Don Quixote is a novel by Miguel de Cervantes. Miguel de Cervantes, for you guys who are not literate, was the Spanish Shakespeare, okay? He wrote the first novel in what we would consider modern Spanish. And it is a story of a hero named Don. Don means like Mr. Quixote. Don Quixote is a madman, or is he? He thinks he's a knight who's battling dragons, but really he is chasing windmills. He has a squire named Sancho Panza, who is this sort of weird guy who decides to hang around and tag along with him and enable his fantasy. He's trying to rescue this princess, Dulcinea, who's actually a lady of ill repute, but he doesn't understand that or refuses to accept that. He's this comical, farcical character who is noble in his idealism, but sort of tragic in how deluded he is. Okay, that's Don Quixote. Now, there's a theory. Basically, I got to tell you something. When Mashiach comes, we'll find out how much of Spanish culture was driven by crypto Jews. But there are a lot of Spanish important figures of Spanish culture who were probably Jewish. So there are a lot of theories that a lot of important figures in Spanish history were, because basically after 1492, when Columbus sailed the ocean blue, which was the Spanish expulsion, a lot of Jews went into hiding. So the theory is that Cervantes was a crypto Jew or the descendant of crypto Jews. Don Quixote in medieval Spanish would be pronounced Don Quixote. Quixote. What is Quixote? Well, it has a double meaning, actually. Kshot in Zoharic Aramaic means truth. The truth teller. We talked about that before. Also, though, it's ki. Ki is the chof hadimyan. It's the prefix in Hebrew, which means like or as. Shote. Shote means a fool. So Don, the master, ki shote, who is like a fool. He's acting foolishly. He acts like a madman. But is he crazy or is the world crazy? You hear? My whole understanding of Jewishness after October 7th is I understand Jewishness as a type of neurodivergence that begins with Avram Avinu. It says, Echad hoya Avraham. That's what the prophet says. Abraham was one. What does it mean he was one? That he was a party of one. The entire world saw life in one way. He, on his own, had a different worldview. He was the literal iconoclast, meaning image breaker, breaking the idols of his father. And he was called Avram HaIvri. Ivri can mean the Hebrew, but that's just a transliteration. Actually, literally, Ivri means the one who is oiver, who comes from the other side. What does that mean from the other side? Okay, so you could say geographically he crossed over the Euphrates to come to the Holy Land. But also what it means is the other side. The entire world was on one side of the issues, and he was on the other side all by himself. So Abraham, was the original neurodivergent. The entire world saw life one way. He saw it differently. That began Jewishness. Jewishness is basically seeing reality in a way that is misunderstood by the masses. People don't understand. They misunderstand, they mischaracterize it. They even superimpose their own suspicions, and they cast aspersions, and they assign nefarious motives because of what they fail to understand. And there's literally no way to debate your way out of it, because it's like an autistic kid trying to debate a narcissistic parent. You can have all the talking points. You're talking two different languages, two different reference points of reality. So Don Quixote is the archetypical Jewish figure who's in a world that feels irreconcilably broken. And yet he insanely insists on idealism, on the messianic hope, nay, expectation that the world will become perfect, and that he's ready to fight a fool's fight to bring about that perfection. Tilting at windmills, that expression, that idiom, derives from Don Quixote. He is the one who's perceived by the world as a madman because he believes that we can win and that we can bring about perfection. And he's misunderstood, he's laughed at, he's scoffed at, he's scorned, maybe even he's abused. But who is crazy? The world or Don Quixote? So hold on a second. To dream the impossible dream. Okay, so then they made this Broadway play called Man of La Mancha, and everyone involved in Man of La Mancha was Jewish. Okay, so Cervantes was probably a crypto Jew, maybe possibly was. The Man of La Mancha Broadway adaptation of Don Quixote was written by Jews. So it's a very Jewish, Don Quixote is an archetypically Jewish figure. To dream, and by the way, there's theories that Elvis was Jewish, but I don't know if that's true. To dream the impossible dream. I'm going to croon it a little bit, okay? To dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to bear with unbearable sorrow. That is such a Jewish line, to bear with unbearable sorrow. It's unbearable. You can't bear it, and yet you bear, and yet you bear with it. To bear with unbearable sorrow, to run where the brave dare not go. Okay, they dare not go there. You, fakert, you run there. To right the unrightable wrong. That's the power of teshuvah, of true repentance. That zdoines nasaloi kazachias mamish. That sins become merits. No, I'm not antinomian. No, this is not Shabsi Zevi, Candace. I'm not talking about I'm not talking about sins become merits. I'm talking about that when you repent and when you return to God, your lowest moment of moral failure can propel you to a greater level of sensitivity. When you renounce your old ways, ironically, propel you to a new level of holiness you would not be able to reach had you not fallen in the past. Not that we purposely fall, God forbid, but after the fact, it becomes a springboard to higher levels of holiness. That's why the Talmud says, in the place where the completely righteous stand, in the place where true penitents stand, even the completely righteous cannot stand. Completely righteous are those without sin. The penitents have sin, and they come back and they reclaim the darkness of their failures, and they turn that into the motivation to become even closer to Hashem. To right the unrightable wrong, to be better far than you are. How can you be better than you are? Hold on a second. No, that's not right. I'm looking in Genius. You know, Genius should have stayed with hip-hop lyrics. That's not. Genius started off with hip-hop lyrics. And then they overplayed their hand and they started getting into stuff. Broadway lyrics, they don't belong there. By the way, the song's called The Quest. Where's the lyrics here? Where's the lyrics already? To dream. I got it. To love pure and chaste from afar. That's what it is. Okay. To dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to bear with unbearable sorrow, to run where the brave dare not go, to right the unrightable wrong. That's tshuva ma'ava nasale dainis nasale kazachis mamish. To love pure and chaste from afar. That's what it is. That's what that line is. To love pure and chaste from afar. That's real. That's Ratz of a Shuf. To try when your arms are too weary, to reach the unreachable star. You hear that? To reach the unreachable star. It's unreachable, and yet you reach it. How could you reach it if it's unreachable? How could it be unreachable if you reach it? This is called paradox. Paradox. That's what makes it so Jewish. This is my quest. Now, you're going to say, Taub, why are you singing? You clearly can't sing. You can't even reach that high note, and it's not even such a high note. I sing to express my soul. I don't sing to perform. I don't do any of this to perform. No, that's why the people who like me, because I'm not performative. People who want polished rabbis, there's plenty of polished rabbis. Okay. This is my quest to follow that star, no matter how hopeless, no matter how far. I don't know how to do the rest. Okay, I'm going to rehearse. I'm going to go back to the studio and rehearse. I have to look at some of the comments here. Hey, I was supposed to be on the 9:45 call. I think either I was missed because I didn't hear my slot come up during the live chat, or the miscommunication was on my end where I was supposed to call. Okay, this is Full Mental Alchemist 9186. All right, so I know, and then he wrote, have a good night, y'all. Maybe I'll go on next time. Okay, Yisrael, the 9:45 person says that he or she missed their slot. So maybe you could email, maybe you can email the 9:45 person.
I don't have access to the email, actually.
Biggs by Tremolo 9588. Could be copyright strike. The singing is too good. That is a slick compliment. Your singing is so good, you're going to get a copyright strike. If you want to really lay it on, you'll be like, you're going to get a copyright strike from Las Vegas Elvis. Okay. Hold on a second. Happy early birthday, Rabbi, from Menachem MH. Reliable Mike says, very aspirational song, total 60s. Yes, it was very 60s, very idealistic in a 60s type of way. Sam Cedar 1116. Here's something that I'm wondering if anyone can shed light on. On one hand, we believe that Mashiach will come and God's plan will work out no matter what. But on the other hand, we each have a mission and we're supposed to do. But what if God's plan is going to work out no matter what? Then what's the motivation of putting in effort to doing our mission? So to answer your question, Sam Cedar 1116, Mashiach is going to come no matter what. Here's the thing. When Mashiach comes, you know the little red hen, which is communist propaganda? So, and I want to speak about communist propaganda in a minute, if you remind me. I'll come back to that in a moment. You know the little red hen, she asked all the other animals to help her to bake her bread, and they don't want to help bake the bread. And then in the end, she's like, will you help me eat it? And they're like, oh, yeah, we'll help you eat it. She's like, yeah, get out of here. Take a hike. Okay. So here's the thing. When Mashiach comes, if you didn't help bring Mashiach, you're still going to be included. But if you're a mensch, you're going to feel really weird and awkward. You'll be like, you know what? I could have been part of making this happen. I'm so jealous of the other people who are looking at this and saying, we built this. And I'm like just a spectator, and I know I'm just riding in on their coattails. So that's the difference.
By the way, our next caller has joined the call.
Excellent. Yisroel, not you, Yisroel Eagleberger says Elvis was Jewish. It's contested. There are some discussions. Possibly Elvis's mother may have been Jewish. But who knows? Okay. Henny Penny was that Orwellian hen. Oh, so I want to speak about communist propaganda before we get to our next caller. If you notice the flyer for the call-in show as well as the YouTube thumbnail, I created that in the style of 1960s communist propaganda, specifically the lino cut, the 1960s lino cut communist propaganda. Listen, as Tony Montana said, I kill communists for fun, but for a green card, I'll carve them up real nice. I'm not a fan of communists, but I got to tell you something. They knew aesthetic. And yeah, so I like to do a little ishapcha, as we say in Zoharic Aramaic. I like to take the communist propaganda aesthetic and transform it. Okay, Yisrael, you have another caller on the line? It's not on the Google Docs sheet. We got to run things smoother over here. Yes.
Yes. The caller is now on. Hi, next caller.
Yisrael, you should write it on the Google Docs sheet.
Shalom Aleichem, Rabbi Taub. How are you?
Aleichem Shalom. All right, I know who this is, but you can decide whether you're going to play a character or not. Unnemen. Okay, sir.
This is Unnemen.
Okay.
Sir, so you're speaking about the unbearable, the unbearable
sorrow.
And that paradox. So,
yeah,
exactly. So I want to bring up. It's also one of those kind of topics that to speak about the unspeakable.
To speak about the unspeakable. And, I love it.
Yes, something like that. Something.
I love it.
You'll see. So basically, my question am I live now?
Yeah, you're live. Yeah, you're on live.
Okay. So I guess the question is, I have to speak about it, but at the same time, it's unspeakable. So I guess I'll speak, and the unspeakable part, you'll see what I mean.
Okay.
So basically, I'm learning a Gemara and Baba Metzia in the Talmud, and also in general, I've come across different stories in Chumash and in Gemara and in general in life, which I assume is what we call today mature content. That
Yes.
You don't talk about these types of things in the street because you have to be mature, and
Right.
if you do, there's and you speak to a non-mature person, it can lead to, like they say, terrible scenes.
Yeah, I know someone who said that.
And
yeah.
the like.
Yeah.
Yes. So the question is, what do we do when I guess there's two parts: the person learning it, and then as someone that's teaching it to younger students. So if I'm learning something, and a person is not me per se, I'm not talking about something. It's not personal.
Well, let's make it personal. Other people can choose to learn from it. You said you were learning something. Could you share? Okay, but it's more. I think it's usually more helpful when it is personal, and then other people can extrapolate the rule to their situation. Right. You said you came across something recently. Do you want to talk about what you came?
Okay. Let's jump right into it. Okay. It's unspeakable, but speakable. Okay, so I was learning Baba Metzia, Daf 101b.
Okay.
And the Gemara is discussing.
And anyone who wants to Google this right now, okay, Google Bava Metzia 101b. Okay.
The Gemara is discussing over there landlord-tenant situation where the landlord wants to raise the rent. Does he have to give a warning? Does he not? And under certain circumstances, long story short, according to a certain opinion, the Gemara says, the Avinu says that, he's allowed to raise the rent. It's not an issue. So Rav Nachman says back to him, and I quote word for word, it's in Aramaic, and then it's not a common word in Aramaic, so Rashi says it in Hebrew.
Okay.
And I tell you the truth, I did not understand it. And I went to go check one of these big Daf Yomi Magidish Yorim, even though Daf Yomi now is not the Metzia, it's actually Chulin. But
you went to the archives.
On the archives of yes. And then I also checked in one of these Kaich books, translation worksheets of that's prepared for children. And they completely, the guy says like, oh, this piece over here, it's a little bit inappropriate. So I'm not going to use the language that he's using, but he basically says that he's saying that Nachman tells them, if you're going to raise, if a landlord is able to raise the rent on the tenant, he's like, I don't want to say the word, it's inappropriate because he basically has control over him. He has a very.
Okay, so you're saying you looked at a class. You looked online at a class.
He's forcing.
The guy came to this line, and instead of translating it like he did everything else, he said, "I'm going to paraphrase the general concept." I'm just clarifying.
Right. He didn't want to use it. Right. Correct. The Gemara brought down an idiom, which an idiom is. I can just say what the idiom is, or I'll assume your audience knows what an idiom is.
Yeah, you'd have to be an idiot not to know what an idiom is.
Exactly. So instead of just saying the idiom word for word, like an idiom could be spill the beans, right? Which doesn't mean that the person's literally spilling the beans. Right. It means to reveal a secret or a piece of cake. That was a piece of cake. It means
cool your jets.
Doesn't mean a piece of cake.
Hold your horses.
Your judge, hold your horses, exactly. And under the weather, et cetera, et cetera. So there's one over here that says what it says, and he's like, it's inappropriate, and he's like, even Rashi explains it, but I'm not. And then that was on the live class.
So Rashi did, but can I ask you a question? Rashi explains. Wait.
Oh, Rashi says it clear.
Rashi says it clear.
Rashi says it in the language like. Yeah, he explains it.
And does Rashi warn? Does Rashi warn that it's inappropriate? Or he just says it.
No, exactly. He just says it. He says it the way it is.
Okay.
And then I was like, then in the book that's made specifically for students, they also skipped it over. Then it got me very intrigued. What is this? I opened it up.
Did they say they were skipping it, or they just tried to?
They don't. No, they bring the Rashi amongst all the other Rashis. All the other Rashis they translate. This one they don't.
Mysteriously, it's just missing a translation.
So and the Lashon of the language of the Gemara is that Nachman says to Ravona, if a tenant a landlord under certain conditions, obviously, if he wants to raise the rent, he could do whatever he wants. And Nachman says if that's the case, you literally have the person highly nafte bekupshe l'shafti l'grima.
Well, that's Aramaic.
Okay,
that's Rashi.
like you're holding on to his eggs. Yeah, it's like you're holding on to his eggs
Right.
until he will give up on his garment.
Okay, and
In other
eggs,
words,
we should explain because there's a double idiom here. Eggs is a biological euphemism for a male anatomical part. So he says it's like the
Right.
landlord who's trying to extract more rent from the tenant is holding on to his eggs. There's a similar idiom in English, by the way. Not a similar idiom. That is literally an idiom in English.
Right. How does it go in English?
He has him by the, yeah. And you see, it's unspeakable. I hesitated. I'm hesitating.
Unspeakable. Right. You are hesitating. There's a reason for that. You know why? I think that someone there's always that one kind of guy, that's going to later.
He's going to make a clip and he's put it on WhatsApp.
He's going to make a clip. He's going to put it out on WhatsApp. Exactly. And it's like, oh, Rabbi Shais Taub said. And then, by the way, he really does have you by the.
Yeah, and that's right. And he won't show the context that we're discussing Bava Metzia.
Exactly.
He's going to make it look like I'm some type of tzedreite.
Exactly. And that's just one example. But you have it in Gemara. I remember when we were younger in yeshiva, we used to learn, and then something was like, something about hilchos ishus, womanhood, marriage, intimacy. I don't know what the Rosh Yeshiva would say. Okay, we're skipping this, or they would say it in very vague terms. And I remember I would ask, well, what's pshat? And you say when it was ultimate saying.
Yeah.
So let's speak and be realistic. Yeah, if you teach this depending on the age or whatever, yeah, the kids are going to be immature about it. Or they're going to start laughing, and suddenly there's going to be those students who are going to master this Gemara.
Yeah.
But at the same time, how do we explain that such topics are brought down in Gemara? I mean, you have the same thing also for such a Bacher learning the Sefer's Mada and Zmanim. Then comes Sefer Nashim and Rambam.
Mm-hmm.
How's he supposed to understand and navigate all these things?
Okay.
I think there has to be a certain maturity about mature content.
Yes.
So anyway, I think you got the picture.
Yes.
And I'm calling you to ask the big Rav Shais if you could give some guidance, personal guidance, how you go about it. Look, I'll say this straight, the way someone else put it to me, like, this could actually lead to Machshavas Zoros.
Right. Let's by the way, let's translate everything into English for the YouTube audience here. Somebody could say he's studying the anti-Semites are going to love this, by the way. Someone's going to say he came across these passages in Torah study that use language that we would consider to be mature language, and it's a child or a teenager who's studying it, and it's going to actually lead him to have lewd thoughts, someone might argue. That's what you're saying. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yisrael, are you on the call? Are you listening? Because Yisrael can back me up. Okay. So Yisrael can back me up because he's one of my two sons and can attest to the fact that I'm not making this up. But my approach always to teaching my boys about what they call the way of the world, mature content, was specifically to bring it up in a context of Torah study. Is this true, or am I making this up because I wanted it to be true? Yisrael?
Good, it's good.
Yisrael, are you with me?
We're good.
Yes. I agree.
Are you playing a video game while you're listening? Because I feel like maybe there's some delay.
Do you want to know what I'm actually doing?
Yeah, what are you doing?
I'm fixing a tile in the mikveh by the oil.
Fixing a tile in the mikveh by the oil. Okay, so when you were a kid, you're married now, so I guess by now you figure it all, and you have a child, so I guess you figured out all this stuff by now. But when you were a kid, we would study Torah, and when these things would come up, I actually would use it as an opportunity to reveal these things to you in a very non-pressuring type of way. Because like a lot of times it's like, son, come meet me in my office and we're going to have a talk. And it's so awkward and weird and cringy for both the father and the son. And this is more just like, okay, it comes up. We don't have to make a big production about it. And then the most beautiful thing is the whole conversation is framed within a context of holiness. So I think, to the contrary, when things like this come up, it's an opportunity to teach these things that are part of life, to teach them to children in a way that isn't, doesn't trigger feelings of shame or naughtiness. It's a really great way to cover these subjects, which it's sooner or later you have to cover these subjects anyway. That's my position, that we should teach these things, and you should obviously teach it with dignity. You don't make jokes about it. You don't do it irreverently, but you seize the opportunity. I'm looking here at the chat and the YouTube. I think this gives even more validity, if that's necessary, for Chazal's advice to begin Gemara at age 15. You're saying that at 15 you could use this expression, but for a 9-year-old you don't want to use that expression? Okay, I hear you. What else? Sir? Anonymous caller?
Yeah, here. I'm not sure. Yeah, here we.
You want to push back?
No, I'm not.
I will say this. When I taught my sons, it was always one-on-one. So in a classroom, it may be counterproductive because there's always going to be someone who's going to start laughing, and then it ends up being a big joke. But if it's one-on-one, it's certainly an opportunity to teach these things. Like, where do you want your kid to learn these things? Like, let's say body parts. So this idiom involves certain private parts. Where should he learn about these body parts? In a context of a discussion with his father that's framed in Torah study, or from some weird kid in camp who tells him all types of, inappropriate things? So where do you want your child to be exposed to these things? If you want to give him a fighting chance, you want to introduce these concepts in a healthy way.
No, I hear.
Okay, sounds like.
How did it go down? How did it go down
with my kids?
With your yeah.
I don't know. You have to ask him. He's fixing a tile in the mikveh at the aisle, so he sounds preoccupied. Yeah. All right.
Calling to call-in show. Calling to the call-in show.
Calling to the call-in show. You got to call into the call-in show. We got people calling into the call-in show and hanging up before it's their turn. Maybe they'll come back next week. Maybe we'll have another caller still tonight. Yeah. To dream. Okay, thank you, anonymous caller, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, my pleasure and honor. To dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to bear with unbearable sorrow, to run where the brave dare not go, to right the unrightable wrong, to love pure and chaste from afar, to try when your arms are too weary, to reach the unreachable star. This is my quest. best to follow that star, no matter how hopeless, no matter how far. All right. Looking in the chat. I've been trying to send in a question application since I got here. That's from Shadowfrost KZ5VO. Elio says, did we miss your birthday? No, my birthday is this Shabbos, 21 Sivan. My birthday is this Shabbos. You know how old I'm going to be? Could you guys guess how old I'm going to be? Can you guess my age? Azai, now in Yiddish. Shadowfrost KZ5VO says now in Yiddish. Hold on a second. I bet you it's been done. I bet you it's been done. Possible dream in Yiddish. I'm just Googling it. Dudu Fisher. I have a Hebrew one. לחלום את הבלתי מושג, ללחום באוהב לא מובס, לשאת צרמר מנסו כך, לרוץ כשבוכים גיבורים, לפתור עוולה המרה, לתת אהבה טהורה, לשאוף כשידיך יגיעו כבר, לחוש בכוכב לא מושג, זה מסעי עדי הכוכב, ככל שירחיק עוד, ככל שיחב.
0.
לצדק, ללחום בלי לראות. I don't know. Got to get Doodle Fisher over here. Got to get Doodle Fisher.
How are you doing?
How am I doing? I'm doing pretty
Guess
well.
where I am right now.
In the mikveh at the aisle?
No, I'm at the Soulward's house.
The Soulward's house. Okay, I want to sing a little song, if you don't mind. Ready for a song? You ready?
Yep,
Okay.
I'm with you.
El soñar el sueño imposible, pelear el enemigo invencible, soportar con dolor insoportable, para correr donde el valiente no se atreve a ir, hacer el bien al imposible mal, el amor puro y casto de lejos, intentarlo cuando tus brazos están muy cansados, para alcanzar la estrella inalcanzable. Esta es mi búsqueda, seguir esa estrella, no importa que tan desesperado, no importa lo lejos. How's that? Are we going to get thrown off of YouTube? Have we?
I don't know. I hope not.
I feel like we're going to get thrown off of YouTube for being too real. I don't think YouTube can handle this. We're going to get demonetized and thrown off of YouTube. Now bendigamos. Okay. How can one practically be misbeinen if never reaches his pilus? Is he doing something wrong? Oh, I love that kind of question. If he doesn't reach his pilus, can he be Mizboinen? Oh, my goodness. You have to learn Kuntras Hispilus of the Mittler Rebbe. I think in Der Shvi that we can just do a very informal type of thinking, deep thinking. Same way that, lahavdil, you ruminate on your problems until you get yourself freaked out. Just to think about an Inyan in Chassidus until you have some type of reaction, whether you call that tvunais or machshava toiva. That's how the Tanya calls it. But the point is to have some type of a reaction. I think that's his Hisbonenus in Der Shvi. A question on the Rambam discussing prophecy, where he writes it always comes true except for one single case. But how can there be even one such case? Doesn't that disprove the entirety? No, I don't remember that being what the Rambam says. He says that if a Navi, if a prophet prophesies a good prophecy and it doesn't come to pass, even once he is disqualified from being a prophet. Now, if it's a negative prophecy and it doesn't come to pass, that does not disqualify him from being a prophet, because it's possible that the people repented and averted the negative decree. But I thought you were going to ask me a question from Rambam from Matnas and Niyim. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, today in the 3 chapters a day of Mishnah Torah, we finished Hilchos Kilayim. We're in Sefer Zroyim, agricultural laws. So we finished Kilayim. We started Matnas Einiyim, the gifts to the poor. We learned about Peah, about leaving the corners of the field for the poor. Baruch Hashem, Rabbi, should I get an English Tanakh due to not being able to speak or read Hebrew? And if so, which one? Or should I focus on learning Hebrew ASAP? Would appreciate your thoughts. Thanks. You could learn Hebrew, sure, but don't wait. Get a reliable Tanakh, a reliable English Tanakh. Art Scroll Tanakh, that's a reliable one. If you just want the Chumash, 5 books of Moses, my favorite Chumash is what they call Quixote publications, the Kahos Chumash. That is my favorite because first of all, it has a great translation. It incorporates Rashi, commentary of Rashi, but also it has a lot of the teachings of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. And that's my favorite Chumash. But if you want a Tanakh, yeah, I think there are a lot of good ones, but Art Scroll Tanakh is a good one. Can you share practical advice for navigating out of enmeshed family dynamics? I'll come back to that in a minute. Rabbi, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. I have to do Tanya share Hayichud, Shar Hayichud V'Amunah for Yeshiva. Your shir is amazing. That's from Nitzi Drori 6801. Oh, so basically what you're saying is you're in Yeshiva, and you have a class in Shar Yichud V'Amunah, which is the second volume of Tanya. And in order to keep up with the class, you secretly go and listen to my class, and it's helpful to you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I love Shar Yichud V'Amunah. It's the second volume of Tanya. It's about cosmology. It's about the nature of the origins of created existence and the ultimate oneness of all creation. There's nothing but the Creator, nothing but Hashem. Yeah. Yitzi 7505. Does the rabbi discuss if rabbi came from Solomon through son after son, and how to understand if from the dead Daniel or from the living rabbi? You mean the Rebbe? Does the Rebbe talk about it? If the Rebbe, are you talking about the Lubavitcher Rebbe, if he's a descendant of Shlomo Melech? Oh, and about the Mashiach coming from the dead. Yeah. Okay. So this is one of these questions. Okay. It's known that the descendants of the Alter Rebbe, that the Schneersons are patrilineally descended from King David through Solomon, meaning they have the Messianic bloodline. because they trace themselves to the Maharal, who in turn traces himself to David through Solomon. Yes, because Mashiach, the Messianic king, has to be from David through Solomon, not through his other sons. So, yeah, it's the Rebbe didn't speak about himself this way, but he spoke about his father-in-law as being halachically qualified to be Mashiach. First and foremost, due to his lineage, but obviously it's not just the lineage. It goes far beyond that. It has to do with his achievements and his character. So yes, the Rebbe has the yichus to be Mashiach. Yes, that's correct. Oh, Rabbi Yehuda, the president? What kind of, no one ever in the history of the world called Rabbi Yehuda Nasi Rabbi Yehuda the president. First of all, go all the way, say Rabbi Judah the president. You're really going to translate Nasi as president? Does the Lubavitcher Rebbe discuss the lineage of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, was my question. It's a good question. Rabbi Yehuda Nasi is also a descendant of David HaMelech. How do we know? Because he was a descendant of Hillel, and Hillel in turn was a descendant of David HaMelech. No, you're writing Hebrew. Does Lubavitcher Rebbe discuss the lineage of Rabbi Yehuda the president, was my question. Should I be checking my email if I wanted to call in, or my WhatsApp, or my text messages? The only way to call in to the call-in show is to email info@solwords.org. But here's the problem. Nobody is managing that email anymore. That was all set up before we were...
Great idea.
What?
I can manage that email.
How?
Meaning if we set it up in advance next time.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about next time. I'm talking about right now.
Right. I'm just saying it on live so that it can happen.
Okay. I said it 3 hours ago that you should be on that email.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why that
Let's
didn't happen. You got to get the password from Taubal.
Oh, she has it?
I don't have it.
Oh, okay.
And there's two-factor authentication anyways that she needs to give you. I can't get you in.
Oh, it goes to her. Awesome. Good to know. Okay.
That's what I was trying to tell you 3 hours ago.
Right. Okay, awesome. I'll do my part.
So anyone who emailed,
I'll get in.
You were probably emailed back with a time. You were probably given a time. If you're emailing now, no one's seeing your email. If you emailed before 9 o'clock, you were probably given an email reply that tells you what time to call in. Anyone who emailed before 9 o'clock, why don't you go look in your inbox and see what time you were supposed to call in? And even if you're late, go ahead and call in now. How about that? Anyone who hadn't... Why is this so difficult? Anyone who emailed
and
before...
If anyone's confused why we ask for your phone number, no, it's not that we can call you. It's so that when you call into the system and we see that number, that caller ID with that phone number, we know, oh, that's John. Oh.
Yeah.
Understood?
Oh, yeah. All right. Yisrael, I'm going to stall for a minute to see if anybody else calls in.
You want to know how my setup is right now?
Yeah.
I'm driving back to Cronites right now.
Okay.
I have the phone called into the phone system so I can hear you. I have my laptop sitting on the passenger seat.
Awesome.
Connected to, what's it called? The cellular data. What's it called? I feel like I'm 50 right now.
Hotspot.
What's it called when you do? Yeah, hotspot. I'm hotspotting my laptop. I feel like a cop. I also feel like I'm going to get pulled over by a cop.
I feel like you're using SCMODs. SCMODs? State, County, Municipal Offender Data System. Come on,
Yeah.
YouTube people. Yisrael says he's driving down the street with his laptop in his passenger seat, hot spotted, and he feels like he's a cop. And I said, do you feel like you're using SCMODS, State County Municipal Offender Data System?
Do you know what LNS is?
LNS? No.
Lights and sirens.
Oh, lights and sirens?
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
I was driving down the freeway with LNS.
Mm-hmm. Anyone here in the chat know SCMODS?
By the way, do you know that they sell flowers at Kol Save now?
Oh, Elio just wrote the Blues Brothers. Very good. Yes, SCMODS is SCMODS, State County Municipal Offender Data System. Elwood says that. Yes, that's from the Blues Brothers. Very good, Elio. Yeah, they sell flowers at Kol Save. So what?
I'm going to stop myself there. No, everyone should get flowers from Kol Save.
Okay. We want to give big shout out to Kol Save in Lawrence, New York, managed by our good friend Mendy Hertz. You should go buy all your flowers and all your other stuff at Kol Save.
There's actually yeah.
What? What? Why are you censoring yourself?
No, nothing.
To dream
No,
the impossible dream. Marcus. Yeah.
Okay, no one joined yet.
What else do you want to talk about? Con?
No, let's reminisce of the Thursday night call-in show. What was your favorite call?
My favorite call from the history of the Thursday night call-in show. The dentist lady who was
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that.
The dentist lady from California who had like a dilemma about her career path. That was pretty cool. I like that. And I asked her a bunch of dental questions.
Yeah, you were on for like 45 minutes. And then you bought a floss pick.
Yeah, I bought a water pick after that. I actually did. I bought a water pick. I use it every day.
By the way, for anyone that remembers that episode, they will remember, oh my gosh, someone got into an accident. That's terrible.
I didn't follow that.
For anyone that remembers that episode, I am driving and I just saw an accident.
Okay. Is everyone okay?
Yeah. Everyone looks okay. Yeah, it looks like a minor...
Fender bender?
Fender bender.
Okay.
Little love tap. Okay, so anyone that remembers that episode will remember that I asked, how old was Jaime then? 8-month-old son? When is my 8-month-old son going to get teeth?
Yeah.
And everyone should know that he has 7 teeth right now.
That's adorable.
So he did it.
Yeah.
Should we leak the call-in show number and pin and see what happens?
No, we're going to get a weirdo. Like, I'm not going to be able to handle it. I can't handle it.
I could also just kick them out.
No, because the number is going to be on the actual video and it's going to float around. You're going to get crazy calls. So sorry.
No one's going to be able to get in without a pin.
But you're going to get tons of calls. Oh, you can change the pin?
Yeah.
So maybe that we should just leak the number and then we'll change the pin later? Okay, fine. Do it.
Yeah. Well, the pin, the number, people can have the number. I don't care if people have the number. Let them call me.
You're going to get...
And no, it's not my private number.
Yisrael,
for all those people that want to
ring.
No, it's not my private number. Yeah.
There are people, unfortunately, who are just going to sit there and call it all day.
Okay, and?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So you want to write it in the comments? Live comments, maybe?
Yeah, I'll write it in the comments.
Hey, but don't give out the master pin, because that's a master pin.
Okay. So hold on a second. I'm going to write the number. Oh, Mendy Hertz texted me. He was listening. He says those high open mouth notes were actually quite solid. This is my quest. This is my quest to follow that star. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to leak the number right now on the chat. The 347 number, Yisrael, right?
Yeah, and by the way, if you want it to be a little bit more discreet, you can write with the word abbreviation of the number.
No, I already put it in the chat. Okay, so what's
okay?
All right, so just say right now. So it's writing Vinyl 8867 is writing crank calls was a 90s problem. I don't think the kids know how to dial numbers anymore.
Let's see. Let's go.
Baba Booey, Baba Booey.
Baba Booey.
How it's doing, Baba Booey, Baba Booey, Baba Booey. Okay. What is the code for tonight? You're going to change it tomorrow, right?
Daled Vav Ches Daled.
No, that's not nice. Yisrael, because not everyone knows Hebrew.
Okay. 4684. 4684.
4684. I'm going to change it later, but for tonight, it's 4684.
We're going to change it in 10 minutes.
Okay. All right. So I just posted.
And then pound to enter.
Pound to enter. I just posted the call-in number in the chat. The code tonight is 4684. And we're going to see what kind of crank calls we get. But please don't crank call me. I don't want another con experience. I'm still traumatized. It was 30 years ago. I'm still traumatized.
Okay, we have our first call in right now. He's on.
Okay, put him on.
Welcome. What's your name?
My bones are fucking awesome.
All right, Yisrael, are you convinced that we can't do this?
Yeah.
We can't have nice
pretty
things.
Convinced.
We can't have nice things.
This is why we can't have nice things. Okay, we have a caller from Israel. Should we get this next caller from Israel?
Try it.
Okay.
Hello.
All right, welcome on. Hello.
You're live on the air.
Hello.
Hi. So I had a question. Sorry if I...
Okay, no problem. You know that you're live on the air, yeah?
Yes, I'm watching the live. I'm Shadow Frost.
Oh, you're Shadow Frost. Okay, fine. So mute your computer so we don't get an echo.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so wait, you had some Tanya questions? I forget which comments you made.
No, my questions weren't really about Tanya. My question was really, so I had a lot of problems since the war. I made Aliyah like 10 years ago, almost 11 years ago I came to Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Never going back to America, of course. And, I was very kumbaya when I first made Aliyah. And I tried to, be friends with everybody and make peace and, just get along, peace and love and all that extra. And I grew up kind of really religious. Don't claim to be religious, but that's beside the point. So after the war, I had a lot of problems with Arabs, of course. And then recently, after coming back home to Yerushalayim, from being in like Tel Aviv and Haifa and like outside of Yerushalayim for a long time, I considered working for Arabs in the shuk.
Okay.
And one of my Gayish in England, and he's like my only guy friend. I only say he's my guy friend because he's the only one that reached out after the war started. He asked how I could possibly consider working with Arabs. And I was like,
Okay.
well, it's different, but also a big
By the way,
part of it
not to interrupt. By the way, not to interrupt. I just want to let you know, with this segment, we're going to just do a speed round. So let's do 2 minutes, quickly wrap up the question. We'll do a quick answer. We'll go to the next one.
Okay.
Yes. So I told him it was like, it's just, I told him it was like almost a half joke. It's the Israeli hubris, the Jewish hubris of, I will be the one to make shalom because I have main character syndrome. I will
Okay.
be the one that will find a way to make shalom.
Okay.
In saying that to him, I came to a realization, thought of like, well, if I have this drive, if I can have this drive to make shalom with them, why can't I do that with my own nation? There are many Jewish people outside of Israel that are not happy with the government in Israel, but they don't always express that to the outside world. They kind of just paint all of it like Eretz Yisrael is like, given the Parsha this week, do you have any advice about how I can kind of, I'd like to like find any idea about how I can make peace with
Sure.
like,
And when you say
these
the
kinds
Parsha
of
this week,
people.
you mean the Parsha in Eretz Yisrael, because we're on Ba'aleischa, you're on Shlach. But yeah, given the Parsha this week,
Yeah.
Shlach in Eretz Yisrael, they're a week ahead, and the Parsha is about the desire to enter the land. Okay, so first of all, I just want to tell you something. As I'm sure you know, that there are people who you can be friends with and make peace with in every nation and from every background. So to me, maybe I'm a little bit open-minded, but I don't find it shocking whatsoever to want to have a good relationship with an individual from anywhere. Now, nations are a different thing. Nations are institutions, and I'm very cynical. I don't believe in any group of people bigger than 10. I don't know how it functions properly. But when you have individuals, absolutely you can make peace with individuals, whether from other nations or, and this is the hardest one, from your own nation. And we know historically that, intra-tribal conflict is always more formidable than the inter-tribal type stuff. So making peace with your neighbor, the person who davens next to you in shul, that's always the hard part. Or with your own family members, that's the hardest part. But you should make peace with everybody. Absolutely. Okay, Yisrael, you said this is speed round.
Awesome. Yeah. Yep. Let's go to the next one.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Okay. Next caller, you are on.
Okay. You gonna prank me?
Hello?
Yeah, you're on.
You can't hear me, can you?
I can hear you.
Oh, this is Alex Thompson.
Hey
Yeah,
there.
or I'm Alex. It's just you and me right now?
No, you're live. Everyone's listening to you.
Oh, great. Wonderful. Oh, hey. Nice to talk to you.
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm on. All right. Quick question. Your YouTube video was a short that came on earlier today.
Yeah.
It was about absorbing feelings and emotions from other people.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I do that, and I've noticed it recently. And actually, I prayed yesterday that I figure out how to not do that,
Yeah.
or figure out what's going on. Because it's really kind of wreaking havoc, and I don't notice it until like later in the day after I've done it, and then I have to trace it back and what happened. Da da da.
So
You know,
you're absorbing
I
a
have a lot
lot
of
of other
anxiety.
people's energy, and it's getting to you.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can give more details if you want, but I think you understand.
Yeah, no, I do understand. And, that's a common experience a lot of sensitive people have. And, part of growth is becoming aware of it because, you're at the point where you know that you do it, but like you don't exactly know it's happening till later. Cause like you say, you come home and you feel something, you're not even sure where it comes
Yep.
from, and you have to trace it back and figure out where it started from. Well,
Yep.
just like you probably didn't even realize it was happening at all, and now you realize it is happening, but like you don't realize it till after the fact. You will eventually realize when it's happening in the moment and cut it off. It's a learning curve. It is a learning curve. How old are you?
I'm 40.
Okay. So I want to tell you something. I'm tomorrow night, I'm going to be 52. A lot of the stuff that I figured out was really
Mazel tov, okay?
Mazel. Thank you so much. In the past couple of years, I really learned a lot about this kind of stuff. So, it's a learning curve, and just keep experimenting.
Well, part of it is people really share a lot with me.
Yeah, of course they do.
Very deeply, very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I want to be there for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
it's very noble.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
thank you.
It's very noble of you. And I want to tell you something. Part of your mission in this lifetime probably is about holding space for people compassionately and non-judgmentally. That probably is a gift that you have. It doesn't mean that you have to make that gift available to everyone at every time.
Yeah. How do I'm not even sure how to ask the question, but I grew up in a family where I was compelled to do it, and they got, people got angry with me when I didn't do it.
What, they used you as the therapist?
Yeah.
Yeah. What, your parents even?
Yeah.
Yeah. Parentified child?
Yeah, very much.
Yeah. I got a crazy algorithm,
So it's hard to say no.
If the Soul Words YouTube channel pops up in your feed, that means you probably have some type of weird traumatic childhood. Yeah. But listen, they sought you out for a reason. You really are talented. I'm assuming. I don't know you, but I'm just assuming you really are talented that way. But like I said, just because you're talented that way, and just because God gave you a mission to use that talent, doesn't mean you have to use it for everyone at every time. You have to practice discernment.
Right. Practicing discernment.
Light and vessels, like we say in Kabbalistic parlance. There's the energy and there's the container. With all energy, there must be containment. All right. Thank you. Thanks for the call.
Thank you, Rebbe.
My pleasure. Okay, Yisrael, do we have anyone else waiting?
No, that's it.
Oh, that was it. Okay. Fantastic. That was like a speed run.
Yeah, this call-in show is going to go viral.
Yeah.
We have another caller on.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. Just take it blindly.
Should we do it?
Yeah, go for
right.
it. Hello.
Welcome.
Yeah,
welcome.
Thank you.
Baba
Can you hear
Booey,
me?
Baba Booey.
Yes, we hear you.
Yeah, last time I was on, we talked for like an hour and a half, so I'll try to keep it quick. But I think a good question is, in reference to the last caller, what could be the upside of being a sensitive person like that?
The upside is that you can help others. There's no upside personally for yourself. It's one of the most selfless ways that you can be, because personally it makes your own life much more difficult, but it gives you an ability that helps others.
Okay. Short and sweet. We have another caller. This is a speed round. No, it's not personal to anyone. This is a speed round.
Speed round. Okay.
Caller. Welcome. You're on.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello. You're on.
Yeah. Yeah, hi.
You're on the air.
So my question is, I'm religious, actually Chassidus, Heimish Chassidus, and my wife started to lose up some things in their on a religious aspect. So my question is, I guess, is it possible to make it work? I mean, it's a good question. Maybe it's more complicated, but
I'm sure it is more complicated than what we could figure out in this context, but we could talk a little bit about it. Can I ask you a question? Because when somebody tells me that somebody is wavering in their religious observance, people hate to hear this. They always think it's condescending, but people don't. An adult doesn't start wavering in their religious observance unless there's some type of emotional issue behind it. So that's really my question is, like, what's behind this? What's the deeper story behind this story? You know, it's never about Yiddishkeit. It's about person's emotional associations with Yiddishkeit.
Right. So I can definitely see that she's hurt in a religious way. She got controlled a lot. And she has a very negative emotional relationship to Yiddishkeit.
Right. So she experienced religious trauma. She was bullied in the name of religion. And she's resisting that now. So here's what I'll tell you. If she can separate, ultimately, if she can separate her negative experiences from the religion itself, then she will come back even stronger than before, way stronger than before. Because before, everything she was doing was because she was forced. And if she can come back to it, she can come back to it because she chooses it. But she needs to be able to separate the bullying and the religious pressure. She needs to be able to separate that from Yiddishkeit itself. So my recommendation, and she may not be open to this right now, and you may not be the person to recommend this to her because she may not want to hear it from her husband, but if she can get support dealing with the trauma of the religious bullying that she experienced, then she can heal from it and she can choose Yiddishkeit in a healthy way. Problem is, a lot of people who will help you with your trauma have an agenda and are all too happy to steer people away from Yiddishkeit. So you have to find somebody who's doesn't have that type of a bias.
Okay. And another more question about it. What will be the difference between, I mean, look, because I'm religious, she's not, and I need to be very accepting of her behavior and things she's doing.
Right, especially if she received pressure in the past.
What would be the difference between, what would be the difference that was said for a father in such a situation and for me as a husband?
A father has an obligation to educate his children. A husband doesn't have an obligation to educate his wife. So she doesn't need you to teach her how to do anything or to remind her to do anything. It's not your job to inspire her to be better. It's your job to, whatever extent possible, to partner with her to create a home that is safe and warm for your children. That's your job. And hopefully you'll be able to do that together in spite of any religious differences.
And the end goal is not to guide her like a father.
Correct.
But to build a home together as a partner.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, that's what it is.
Well.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay, my pleasure. All right, Yisrael, do we have anyone else? Anyone else up?
I changed the code. So
changed the code? Okay, fantastic. Okay. So, change the code?
Just me and you now.
Just me and you, son. It's me and you, sonny boy. What do you think about Con?
con, a little con.
It was more high pitched
Right.
and like calm. It was like trying to be calm. Little con.
I got it. Yeah.
What?
I got a message that the best phone troll you could do is just because of Nechamosa.
I don't even get that. Oh, Tush Bechos of a
Come
Nechamosa.
on.
Is that from Mendy Hertz?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We won't say names.
Okay. Tush Bechos of a Nechamosa. It's part of Kaddish.
Also, could you check the YouTube comments?
Check the YouTube comments. I remember a couple who was interviewed on Meaningful People podcast. This ain't Meaningful People podcast. The chutzpah. The guy's coming into my podcast and quoting from Meaningful People. I don't want to hear Meaningful
Just
People.
patience. Just listen. Patience.
I remember a couple who
Or
was
if you don't want to hear it, then move on.
I was half joking. I was 90% joking. It's Yitzi 7505. He's our friend. He came to the Soulwords house. Okay. I remember a couple who was interviewed on Meaningful People podcast who had similar situation. The husband was a rabbi of his synagogue and the wife wore pants and I think didn't keep Shabbos. Maybe this podcast can help call or would you recommend rabbi? Yeah, now I'm going to do tshuva for bashing Meaningful People. Yitzi 7505. Go find that episode of Meaningful People and put it in the comments. Please.
Okay, what else is in the chat?
Okay. New Shnas Hatzlacha from the other Gemini. It's from Eliyahu. What else in the chat? Just like random stuff in the chat.
Oh, okay, fine.
If not now, when 770 wrote 3 cracking up emojis.
Wow, insightful.
I'm not sure what it was about.
Do you know what the shortest increment of time is?
What?
The time when
Yeah.
in New York City the light turns from red to green and
Yeah. The shortest increment of time ever measured is the amount of time after the light turns green in New York City that the person behind you honks.
yeah.
Okay. So
What's your stance on drivers? What?
and stance on what?
On drivers taking defensive driving courses in order to get a license.
I think it's draconian. I think it's a bunch of bureaucratic red tape.
But like, imagine you're driving down an icy road and your wheels. Like,
I'm from
start
Chicago. I
slipping.
know what
Or
to
you
do.
talked about this.
If I'm skidding, I know what to do. I drive into the skid. I know how to do defensive driving
Yeah,
intuitively.
but other people.
Those
other
people
people
who
don't know
don't
how to
know
do
they shouldn't take a defensive driving course. They should just not have licenses. I think that 90% of people
Right,
driving
okay.
should not have licenses.
I'll take your side on that one. Didn't you explain it's like being in the shower? Why don't you slip while you're in the shower?
Yeah, I have said that. Why there's so many car crashes when it rains? Because it's wet on the ground. So why doesn't everybody fall in the shower? And I'm not talking about 90-year-old people in nursing homes. Why doesn't everybody fall every time they're in the shower? Because they're careful. They don't tap dance in the
it's
shower.
wet.
Because it's wet, yeah. So you stand there carefully. The same thing when it's wet on the ground. When it rains, you drive a little bit more carefully. But no, people think that you have the fresh rain on the highway with the mixing with the oil slicks and creating like this hydroplane condition, and they're going 90 miles an hour and they're leaving insufficient intervals. Yes, of course they're crashing. Of course they are.
Right.
The little bird is calling. It wishes to return. The little bird is wounded. I'm stretching myself here. It cannot fly but yearn. I don't think I can reach these. It's captured by the vultures, crying bitterly, oh, to see my nest again, oh, to be redeemed. Ah, ya, da, 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 da. Hi, ay, 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 tweet, tweet. Hi, ya, da, 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 da. Ha, da, 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 da. The little bird of silver, so delicate and rare, still chirps amongst the vultures, outshining all that's there. How long it suffers, how long will it be? When will come the eagle and set the little bird free? Ha, ya, da, 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 da. Ha, da, 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 da. Tweet, tweet. Ha, ya, da, 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 da. Ha, da, 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 da. Tweet, tweet. The little bird is Yisroel. The vultures are our foes. The painful wound is gullus, which we all feel and know.
-4.
-4. It just said -4. Why did it say -4? The nest is Yerushalayim, where we yearn to be once more.
-1, -2, -3.
What is going on?
It's something in your system because I don't hear it on the phone. It's not a feature on the phone system.
It's a feature in the phone system.
It's not though.
So what do you think it is? You think it's in my Roadcaster?
I don't know. Maybe your Roadcaster is exploding.
When I sing, when I hit those high notes, the eagle is Mashiach, whom we are waiting for. I think maybe when I hit the high notes, it says negative something. I wonder if it's the Roadcaster? But my Roadcaster doesn't do that.
It's not me. It's not. I mean, maybe there's a setting on it where it warns you.
Hold on, let's see something. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya ya da da da. Ha ya da 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 da.
0.
-0. What does that even mean? Not even math. Ah, da, 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 da. Well, Rabbi Taub, have a good Shabbos. I'm heading off now. I've been celebrating all night and all that. How does someone celebrate the Sabbath if they live in a northern place where it never gets dark? Okay. Was my question before too heavy? I don't remember what your question was. Ooh. My 3 laughters were about your meaningful people comment. Oh, I'm so glad that you laughed at that because I was feigning being more annoyed than I really was. Meaningful people? Why don't you go tell meaningful people? Don't come on my path. I was feigning being more perturbed than I really was, so I'm glad that you laughed at that. Also, when you thought you'd be kicked off YouTube for singing loudly. No, I didn't think I'd be kicked off YouTube for singing loudly. I thought I'd be kicked off YouTube for being too real and raw. This kind of content, you don't get this. This is like not your run-of-the-mill content. I felt like maybe YouTube's just going to say, we can't handle this. Go on Rumble or something. We can't handle this. Zero Mostel has nothing on you. Oh, my goodness. Brother Andrew D3K says Zero Mostel has nothing on you. Thank you so much. Zero Mostel ain't got nothing on me. Thank you. That is such a great compliment. Open the open the pod bay door, Rabbi. Oh, Shadowfrost KZ5VO says it could be your headphones. Yeah, but if it's only in my headphones, then how come Yitzi heard it? Are you guys hearing it? It's the same voice as the phone operator bot, so clearly you are hearing it. -0 is calculus? Is it really? Oh, 0 is Zero Mostel? Is that what we're talking about? Complex with a K, 1215 says, can we do more call-ins, please, Sir Rabbi? I don't know.
Yes, we can next week.
Oh, next week. Next week. All right. If you want to call in next week, you should email info@soulwords.org. That's info@soulwords.org. I want to see if I can make that thing. Yeah, ma, 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 yeah, ma, ma. Yep, you see it? Ma, 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 yeah, da. Ayo, yeah. To love.
By the way, the reason why the people can hear it is because right now the setting you have on your Rodecaster is that the Rodecaster audio goes to the live stream so that we can hear the call and show people. So generally that noise wouldn't be in regular like videos, live streams.
My
Hello?
output from my Rodecaster to YouTube is the same as it always is.
I know, but you have a button clicked, no?
The only thing that's different is there's an extra input. It's the Bluetooth input from the phone. By the way, is the phone system? Oh, yeah, the phone system is on because that's how you're on. You're on through the phone system.
You got it.
For 70, 80 years, a neshama wears and tears just to do a favor for another. He may be far from me, across the widest sea. Still, I always love him just the same.
You know, I used to think it was across the widest sea.
The whitest.
Whitest.
Yeah. Is that like Homer with the wine dark sea? By the way, why does Homer write in the Odyssey that the sea is the wine-colored sea? Wine is purple. You ever seen a purple sea? Well, anyone who is pedantic knows
what color is stuff?
What color is what? What color is ha? What color is dust? Oh my gosh, that was a very good reference. Okay, so my brother David, who's the most hilarious and intelligent guy in the world, David was on the subway in New York City, and one of the black Hebrew Israelites was calling him an Edomite. So he pulls out, the black Hebrew Israelite pulls out his Bible, and he says, he starts reading about Adam. God made Adam from the dust of the earth. So what color was Adam? Color of dust. What color was dust? What color is dust? And so David, I promise you, was not being a gadfly. He was not trolling. He said completely sincerely, he said, gray? Which it is dust. I mean, if I think about dust, like you like put your finger on the windowsill and then you look at it, it's gray, right? And the guy got so, because he meant dust like, I don't know, like a dusty trail in a desert town. He meant like brown. He wanted to say that Adam was brown. And David said gray. He got so like incensed. He was so outraged. Gray. Yeah. What was I in the middle of saying? The wine dark sea. So when Homer writes the wine dark sea, see, here's the thing. In ancient Greek and in the ancient world, I shouldn't say the ancient world, that makes it sound like it was across all cultures, but certainly in ancient Greece, they didn't describe colors the way that we do, as far as the tint. They were describing the darkness. To them, the primary description of something was dark or light. So wine, in some translations actually of the Odyssey, it's written the wine dark sea, because it doesn't mean that it was a wine colored sea. Yeah. Wine dark sea. Where is what's my friend, the guy who speaks Greek, lives in Istanbul? Noah. Yeah, he's from Michigan, or at least he was living in Lansing. Noah speaks Greek. Yeah. Oinops Pontus. Yeah. The wine dark sea has often been invoked, along with the seeming lack of a word to refer to blue in the Homeric texts, as part of the larger discussion about the development of color naming in different cultures. Brent Berlin and Paul Kay's famous 1969 study and subsequent book, Basic Color Terms, hypothesized that early in a language's development of color terminology, languages would only have a few words for basic colors, beginning with only 2 words for light and dark, and subsequently developing words for reddish and bluish colors, before they eventually accrued nearly a dozen words to segment up the color wheel into finer gradations. Although the theory has been fine-tuned significantly in the subsequent decades, and though even in the basic framework is sometimes subject to significant controversy, Berlin and Kay's work could help explain why colors in many ancient literary works seem to work differently than in modern languages. Yeah, that is so true. Berlin and Kay, color theory, Bible examples. Why am I even Googling? Google is worthless. I'm going to Grok. I want to look at some biblical examples. Yeah. Biblical Hebrew examples. Okay, so shocher, which means we translate it as black. often extends to cool and dark shades. Lavon, which we translate as white, extends to warm and light shades. Odaim, which we translate as red, includes shades like brown or crimson. That's why I thought the Para Aduma was red like Clifford, the big red dog. Told you that before. I used to think the Para Aduma, the red heifer, was red like Clifford, the big red dog. But it wasn't. It's red just like a regular brown cow. Hold on a second. Just want to look up something. Jersey and Holstein cows. I just want to give me a picture already. Come on. 2026. I just need, okay, Jersey cattle. So what is the difference, Jersey and Holstein? Oh my gosh. So useless. I can't use Google. Jersey and Holstein cows colors. I'm looking in Grok. Okay. Jersey cows typically are shades of brown. Okay. Holsteins are typically black and white. That's right. So here's the deal. The Para Aduma, the red heifer, it's not red like Clifford the big red dog. It's red like a regular Jersey cow. It just doesn't have any splotches of white in it. Just pure brown, but it's brown. How now, brown cow? You ever do that when you vocalize, when you warm up? How now, brown cow? So, Odaim, it doesn't mean red like a fire engine or cherry red. Or red like a firecracker. Red could mean even brown. Yoroik, which we translate as green, includes yellow and blue and also green. Yeah, so the way the color terms were used biblically is very different than the way that we use them today. Holstein is cookies and cream. That's a good way to remember it. Now, I want to tell you something.
It should have said red like a firecracker.
Red like a firecracker. Yeah. What I want to tell you. I want to talk about the Irish potato famine. No, because there was no famine. No, what I want to talk about is does anyone here speak Russian? Because there are two words in Russian that we would both call blue in English. We would call them dark blue and light blue, but in Russian, they're completely different names. There's sine, which is like navy blue, and there's goluboy, which is like light blue. Anyone here speak Russian? Because I want to know about linguistic relativism and determinism.
Mashiach сейчас.
Very good. Я хочу чай. Спасибо.
Хорошо, слава Богу, хорошо.
Yeah. Oh, look. Hi, Rabbi. I'm from Argentina and beyond. I'm not a Jew. I have a friend who is, and talking about religions. He told me if, for example, my grandfather was a Jew, that mind that I'm a kind of Jew in some way. If it was your mother's mother, yeah, you're a Jew. Svi is writing, Goluboy is gay in Russian. Yes, that is true, which is very interesting because in English, pink is associated with homosexuality. And in Russian, it is light blue, powder blue. If not now, when? 770. Sorry, Rabbi Shais. From an artist's perspective, red and brown are not interchangeable. Red is a primary color. Brown is not. I didn't say they're interchangeable. I said Torah uses them interchangeably. Go argue with Torah. In modern Hebrew, light blue is called tchelet as opposed to kachol. Yeah, that's true. But Levan, Adom, and Yarok are all primary colors that have been pretty distinguished forever as base colors, right? You ever heard the whole theory that purple is an imaginary color? There's no such thing as purple. Ever heard this thing? No such thing as purple. So the theory is that purple is basically a result of the short-circuiting of our brains, incapable of putting together two different wavelengths that are at opposite ends of the spectrum. Yeah. Yes, in a very specific sense, there is no such thing as purple, at least not like the other rainbow colors. This is a fun physics perception fact that often comes up in discussions of color theory. The visible light spectrum contains a continuous range of wavelengths: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet. Violet is a real spectral color. See, violet is real. Then you get to purple, yeah, you pushed it too far. Now you're making stuff up. Violet, that was plausible, okay? Then you want, but then you weren't content, and you overplayed your hand, and you went from violet to purple, and there's where you cross the line into fantasy. Okay? Purple, especially the reddish magenta purples, is not on the spectrum. There is no single wavelength of light that produces it. I emphasize the word single. Purple is a non-spectral color, also called extraspectral, or a line of purples. Your brain creates it by mixing red and blue light. When red cones and blue cones in your eyes fire strongly together with little green, your brain fills in the gap and perceives purple. It's real in perception, but not a pure color like green or yellow. But you know something? Purple is in Torah. Argomon. Yisrael. Yisrael! Why have you forsaken me, Yisrael?
I'm here.
Is Argomon in Tanakh?
Yes, in Megillah.
Where does it say Argomon in Megillah?
Or Karpas Usechelas. Achuz B'Chavlevut, Argomon, Al Gilei Chasef, Mudi Shesh.
So it's describing different colors. Okay, enough. Genug showing. It's describing different. Okay,
I'll stop.
Yisrael, my point is that Argomon is purple. And it existed in the ancient world, and it's in the Bible, in the Hebrew Bible. All right. Is there anything else that you people need to learn about? Because I'm ready. I'll just tell you random stuff all night long, like Lionel Richie, if that's what you so desire. But you got to tell me, because I'm done. I'm ready. Listen, okay, on one hand, I finished Rambam already. On the other hand, I kind of want to go to sleep. Hit the sack. Yeah. I'm looking... how do we feel peanut butter filled pretzels? How do we feel or how do we fill? Red and green are also perceptions, our brain interpretation. Yes, that's true. And really, everything is a perception. But, okay, what I was saying before about purple being a made-up color, yes, everything is just a perception. But what we mean about a real color as opposed to a made-up color is that red and green are our perception of one single wavelength of light, whereas purple is what our brain creates when there are two different clashing, specifically two different clashing wavelengths of light. And what does our brain do with it? It sort of merges it into this fiction, this fictional compromise called purple. Any more important questions?
By the way, someone told me that it's pass, it's pass. So thank you for the correction.
What was the correction?
I said it's pass v'sheish. It's pass. Apparently, I'm just trusting someone.
Oh, you said a pay and it's really a fay?
Mm-hmm.
Really? It's ritzpah. Ritzpah is a floor.
There's a lot of words in Megillah which people get wrong with Nakodes because, like, you would think that it's going to be a different Nakoda.
Yeah.
Or like a pay.
You know what my biggest Megillah pet peeve is? People who say Bigson and Sarish.
Okay, explain.
Okay. Because it's only a suf because it's vit Sarish. But if you say it by itself, then it's terish. If anyone knows dikduk properly, please tell me.
You know what would be even worse?
What?
It would be even worse if someone said Bigson and Viseresh.
Bigson and Viseresh, yeah. And you remember, and then Bigson and Viseresh were plotting to kill the king, remember?
Yeah, that would be terrible.
That would be
disgusting. I was saying before, I like to think that I'm pretty good at getting the right Nakodes and stuff in Megillah. So I appreciate being corrected.
Yeah, well, I would look it up before you commit that to memory. All I'm saying. Oh, my goodness.
This particular person, I think I can trust.
Oh, yeah? You don't want to say who it is? Was it Mendy Hertz? Let's go over to Kol Save.
No, he was just harassing me for having... He was just harassing me for reading Megillah slowly.
I'm going to go to Kol Save parking lot and shoot off some fireworks. And I'm not even joking.
He's still there, if you want to go.
Elio says, wow, so the cow isn't red, indigo isn't real, and his name was Teresh. What a show. We're here to destroy all of your idols. All of the beliefs that have been foisted upon you since childhood. We're coming with biblical authority and destroying all that to free you. Rise above the matrix. Do you know, Yisrael, I'm the only person I know who never saw The Matrix. And probably because I remember very vividly, it was 2000, and I remember it was 2000. It must have been because it was around Y2K. I was in the lobby of 770, davening Shachris at like 12 p.m., which was like what I did back then. And I'm sitting in the lobby, drinking a coffee, disgustingly sweet coffee from that like giant thermos or whatever it was. And there was this Australian guy darshaning to everyone in the lobby, like the homeless people in the lobby, about The Matrix. And he was saying, you have to go see Matrix. It's pure Chassidus, Matrix. You got to see the Matrix. And I decided, I heard this, not that I watch movies anyway, but once I heard that, I was like, no, I'm not going to see my tricks. I'm not going to see my tricks. You got to see my tricks. No, I don't want to see it. And then after that, I can't tell you how many times, it must have been 100 times, people have told me, you never saw, Chase, really? You never saw Matrix? You got to see, it's pure Chassidus. You got to see Matrix. And when they say that, it always takes me back to the Australian guy in the lobby, darshaning to the homeless people saying, my tricks. You got to see my tricks. And I'm like, I can't take it seriously. So Baruch Hashem, I was protected. I never saw my tricks. Never saw it. But I do know about Rise Above the Matrix.
That statement.
What?
You have to be careful with saying that statement, because there's going to be some Chassidus Bookroom that are going to have an excuse to watch it now because you mentioned that it's pure Chassidus.
I never saw the Matrix. You want to be like me? Don't watch Matrix.
What happens if you already watched Matrix?
What if you already watched Matrix? It's going to ruin your life. Worse than if you watch the Rambam movie.
Mm-hmm. Rambam movie? What's wrong with that? I don't know what you're talking about.
Go find out. If you don't know, act like
the Rambam movie, like like the animated.
I can't elaborate. These are references. Those who get them, get them. Those who don't. I'm sorry, I cannot decode the references.
You don't know the animated Rashi?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
DVD.
Yeah. Ilyo says, so the cow isn't red, indigo isn't real. Indigo is real, purple isn't real. Indigo is on the brink of the edge of reality. But if you go further, purple isn't real. So the cow isn't red, purple isn't real. His name was Teresh, and dust is gray. Yes.
Pretty much. And it's Ritzpas, not Ritzpas.
You looked it up? What is it?
Menachem. No, I didn't. I could open up my Megillah, but it won't help me. Menachem MH says, let's go to the firecrackers in Kol Save parking lot.
Okay. All right. I think I'm going to sign off. I just want to do some firecrackers. I thought it was firecrackers.
1 second. I'm checking if it's Ritzfas. It is Ritzfas.
It is Ritzfas?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm just gonna do one last. What do they call it at the end? Like the grand finale? Grand finale. Here's the grand finale. You ready? To dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to bear with unbearable sorrow, to run where the brave dare not go, to right the unrightable wrong, to love pure and chaste from afar.
0.
It came out again. To try when your arms are too weary, to reach the unreachable star. This is my quest to follow that star.
0.
No matter how hopeless, no matter how far. Thought I could hit that high note. 0 Mistel. Ain't got nothing on me. Okay.
Money shot.
We had fun. I think we had fun. I had fun. Welcome back to the call-in show. Can we have 15 minutes of singing before you go?
Have firecrackers become legal in New York?
I'm going to sing a Chassidish niggin real quick, and then I'm going to go. Okay. Ready? Ya da 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 ya ya yam bam bam ba da 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 ya da 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 yam ba ya 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 da 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 ya da da ya. Yam bam bam ba da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya ay ay. Tzvi Kushalevsky is writing, I didn't have fun. This sucks. This is duty. Meaning to say, he's sitting here for 2 hours from sheer Kabbalah's oil. He's not having fun. He's sitting here for 2 hours, completely just with blind obedience, like a soldier. He's standing there. Okay. All right. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages.
Could we do a segment or like a live stream where like it's just completely black and let's just let the comments go off?
I don't get it.
Like just let the people, like there's nothing to watch. It's just people there that are sitting there just to comment.
I have only just joined from Cairo. Mr. J-Man 91 is in Cairo. You said, oh, I don't know what you're saying. You're saying to turn off the camera and let it just be black and let people comment?
Yeah, and let's see how many people stay just for the comments.
No, I don't want that. Because I know there will be two people.
I was joking.
Okay.
I was joking.
It's too. I can't even laugh at it. I can't even laugh at it because I know there's two guys who are going to sit here and have a conversation all night back and forth together on my YouTube channel. I don't want it.
Yeah.
Mr. J-Man 91 is in Cairo. Can you see the pyramids? Okay. All right. All right. I think we got to end it over here. Thank you so much for joining us. And have a great Shabbos, a restful Shabbos. Be reinvigorated. Gain some recalibration, rejuvenation. Get back to your center. Get back to your peace. Mr. J-Man 91 says, I see the Nile. You can see the Nile right now? Okay. I think we're going to end.